Today we're going to talk about database services. AuraPlayer has phone services, as you all know, but we also have database services. Database services would enable you to connect to the database directly and perform either any SQL statement or call store procedure of functions. The advantages of calling the database services or call the database directly is that usually you can expose functions or tables that are not exposed to one of your forms, and it usually makes it much faster access to the database. Now let's see how we can create a database service. I'll go to the button, that new button, and add a database service. Let's have a name. The default would be database service. Let's add the sample service. And we're going to do a simple SQL statement that goes into my invoices and extract invoices according to their to the sum of the invoice. Now the settings would be service name, database host, database port, and those are my hosts and ports. Use the SID or the service name of the form of the database, and we can use what database to connect to. In this case, it's going to be Oracle database. Now I'm going to test the connection, and actually I would be required to enter my username and password and click OK. By clicking OK, it's going to connect to the database and make sure that we have connection to the database. Now I should either set my SQL statement or my execute function or store procedure. Let's enter a SQL statement that I have here. The SQL statement is select invoice ID, etc. from database table where the approved amount is greater than 10,000 and vendor ID is 1, order by approved amount. And you can see it's regular statement, SQL statement that I can set, and I can make it a very big SQL statements and paste them here. Now my next phase would be to click on get output. When I click on get output, it would go to the database, perform the SQL statement and parse the response. You can see I parsed the response and I got all the outputs in here. Anytime I'll change the SQL statement, I'll try to click on get output in order to make sure that the SQL statement is correct. Now other settings of the on the service would be similar to all our services. Is you can use labels and keys, so in that case you can modify the fields names, and you can set the limit of number of rows. Let's keep it at 20 so it would be easier to view, and we can change the authentication type. Now let's create a service. I'll click on create service and we have the service created. That's it. Very similar to all of our services. We have the REST API and we have the SOAP API, and we can test the service. At this point, this service is already exposed to all our to all the users that can consume AuraPlayer services. Now, if we're going to run the test, you'll see that we got those response, the amounts, and it's sorted already. Now let's edit the service again and see what other features we can do. In this case, we have the amount. It's hard coded, but I want it to be parameterized. In order to make it parameterized, I have to do $ and open curly brackets and say amount or any ID that I want to add. Now this field would become an input field for the application. Set it here, amount, and let's set it to be 10,000. Let's click OK, check the output, see that it works. Yep, no issues whatsoever. Update the service and test it. Now again, you can see we get the response. Let's increase the output to 138. I'll go here, change the output and run the test. Now we got much less invoices, since we're just getting only the invoices which are greater than that amount. So that was my way to add dynamic parameter, input parameter, to parameterize this service. And this service would have now 3 input fields.